Side Hijinx in Jonesboro, Arkansas. A beautiful day on the outside and a beautiful day on the inside as we will decide the PBA Jonesboro Super Southwest Open regional title. Our five-man stepladder is set. We welcome you inside the building. I'm Dave Lamont, delighted to be with you this afternoon, and welcome to the PBA YouTube channel. Let's get right into our top five because they are about to begin match number one. This is going to be a left-hander-dominated show with three lefties, and here's one of them right now, the number 5 seed, Michael Holloman, against the Candyman, Sean Maldonado from the right side. Maldonado, the 4 seed, has asked Holloman to open on the left lane. And Holloman had been in and out of the top 5 in that 4, 5, and 6 area throughout the sprint, really, to get to this top 5. 5 games this morning at 8 o'clock Central Time, and then 8 more games split up into 2 4-game blocks. The first 4 on fresh oil. We are on fresh oil here on the 36-foot Mark Roth pattern, and the Candyman comes up with a strike on the right-hand lane. Scores have been high. Matt Russo in particular. The rest of the seating group, by the way, Tackett, who today celebrates his 30th birthday, is the number 3 seed. The number 2 seed is young Spencer Robarge. And at the top, Matt Russo, who won the last time the tour was here a year ago and just blew this building apart. And an opening double for Sean, who was reminded by his fellow competitors that he is the oldest of the 5. They were very quick to remind him of that. This house is also the site of probably one of the more celebrated wins on the PBA Tour in the last several years. Norm Duke winning here in 2019. And then the following week, he won again in Indianapolis. So Holloman looking for the double. And has it. I do expect scores to be high. Now, they have been, and no reason to think they won't be. No 300 games, which is a bit of a surprise, but Holloman averaged about almost 225, and Maldonado 227.5. He was just 5 pins back of Tackett for the number 3 position. Russo and Robarge were having their own event. Well, somebody in the crowd called that strike when it was halfway down the lane. So no one has missed in the first 5 shots. That came in a little light, but a mixer strike for Sean, who has 14 regional titles. And, of course, 2 national titles. And made the quarterfinals of the PBA playoffs this year. Sean out of Houston. We are in Jonesboro, Arkansas. If you're looking to fly here, they do have a small airport, but more than likely you're going to be flying into Memphis. And their revamped airport. Drive about 80 miles. And that messenger's just going to miss. This pair, 23-24, was popular. There were some big games thrown here by all 5 of these guys. I don't know about that. Hold in there. Now, you'll notice from time to time the way the scores are set up here, that is not Holloman with 3 strikes and a 9 spare. But it's just how the scoring works in this house here at Hijinx. So Holloman is riding the front 3. One other way you can help yourself, you notice the H and the arrow. Now that's H for Holloman, and the arrow means he is up. That's a ringer. And Michael looking for his 3rd regional title. Of course, he's the 2019 PBA Rookie of the Year. champion in the Southwest in the Houston doubles and singles title in Shawnee, Oklahoma. He comes out of Collierville, Tennessee. All right, both bowlers clean through 4. Identical scores. E.J. Tackett will actually be next. It was interesting how early Matt Russo and Spencer Robarge separated themselves from the field. They really could cruise honestly, the last 8 games today, once they began to pull away from the pack. Russo in particular. I wouldn't necessarily call that a stone 8. My apologies to my friend. But it still, you could tell Holloman's body language that time. He wasn't overjoyed with that shot. One thing that's interesting already, not in this match, but there is a practice pair, of course, available. And E.J. Tackett is throwing on it. And there you see E.J. in the background. But both Russo and Robarge at the moment are just chilling. Strike for Sean Maldonado. He's really come on the last couple of years to be one of the steadier players on tour. Well, he walked away from that like a golfer just picking up a tee from the drive. It's an interesting reaction to that ball. I don't know what he was expecting there. Either he thought he nailed it, but whatever it is, he did nail it. And asking just about the characteristics of Hijinx, the players were telling me that the low and high end of the house, you might have some unusual, difficult lanes there, but in the middle, and we're kind of in the right middle, no complaints at all. So you see the names have lined up now properly with the scores. And not a surprise to see good starts from both competitors. Mixer. That huge backswing. I always wonder sometimes when a bowler has a slightly different style than something conventional. And, 710 was there for half a second. At what point do they decide, this is the way I'm going to go? And for Michael, it's that massive backswing. And Sean and many others, of course, adopting the two-hand game. But you wonder how many different styles did they go through before realizing this was going to be the one. This was going to make them successful. Although, everybody tweaks along the way. Just talking to somebody who's experienced as Stu Williams earlier today. Stu, who made the final 24. And I'll give you the names on that a little bit later on. Finish the story after this flush hit for Sean Maldonado. And Stu said, he has a long trip home and made the cut in the 24th position and said, well, that's kind of good because I'm still working on some things. And here's an accomplished international player, an experienced player, still tweaking his game to get it to where he wants it. Well, it's a point in this event where if you don't see a strike, you're surprised. Six pin just slicing through the 10 on the replay there. In the foreground, you just saw Matt Russo, who wasn't planning on doing much practicing, the #1 seed. He doesn't have to, the way he's thrown it around the last couple of days. Yeah, he loved that shot, and he had every reason to. The confidence after he threw that was clear. .258 potential for the Candyman. Not anymore. And here, a single pin feels like a loss. So 238 is the maximum now for Sean, and he might need every bit of it. Because Michael Holloman is a 268 max. That one just was a little bit too far left as soon as he threw it. .36-foot Mark Roth pattern. This is a pattern that was used in the Roth-Holman doubles, which E.J. Tackett won with Marshall Kent, but it was Marshall who bowled that pattern, and E.J. had bowled on the 40-foot Marshall-Holman pattern. It was a left lane, right lane kind of deal. So Sean doing some math, realizing now that 226 is his best, and that just may not do it. Unless something disastrous happens to Michael Holloman, and that isn't likely. So it is a 226 for Sean. Holloman just about has this wrapped up. E.J. Tackett will be next. And he's, pardon the expression, on a roll right now. Just routine, a lot of action in these pins, a lot of carry. And our next match will be Michael Holloman and E.J. Tackett. .226 is often good enough to win in the stepladder. And that's ironically almost a pin off of what Sean had averaged to get here in 19 games, or excuse me, 21 games, but 226 is not going to fly here. This will be a big bomber game here for Michael Holloman. And what will he be doing to that left side as he bowls another game coming up with Robarge and Russo yet to come? 266 to 226.
EJ is going to get a few practice shots, and then we'll get the next match underway.
So EJ is let me give you the rest of the top 12. Oh, he's Dio Bernard, who was in and out of that top 4, 5, and 6 position, ended up just 10 back of Holloman, finishing 6th. Tom Doherty in 7th, a solid time for Tom. 8th place went to Mike Bailey. Mike is known in the area. He is the reigning Southwest PBA 50 Player of the Year, and he went right down to the last game. He still had a chance until the last game was completed. Gary Faulkner Jr., another lefty, finishing 9th. Francois Lavoie, who's headed back to home for a little while, and then will represent Team Canada in a couple of weeks in Brazil at a sort of a South, North, and Central America championship. Are we going to that, Jeff? No? Darn it. Be fun. A.J. Johnson, among others, will be there for Team USA. A.J. also made the 24 line, but did not make the final 12. Sam Cooley was 11th, and David Kroll was in 12th. But E.J. Tackett, who is the unofficial Mr. Doubles for 2022, having won with Deandre Asbeatty at the Lucy, and earlier in the year with Marshall Kent, that spectacular show they put on in Wisconsin. And I guess there was a time earlier in the day when he wasn't in the top 5, but there weren't many of those times. And E.J. ended up passing Holloman and Maldonado and taking the number 3 position. 268, I think, was his last game. So just to let you know what kind of form he's in. On his 30th birthday, and his box of cookies has a happy birthday wish on it. Every player here gets a box of freshly baked cookies from the restaurant here. And they seem to work. They seem to blend magic into some of the games. And they are known throughout the building for their excellence. Even Natalie Tackett got a box. Jeff and I did not get a box. That's okay. They took care of us in other ways. But
all right, as the higher seed, E.J. Tackett has the choice of starting lane. He is elected to let Michael Holloman start the match on the left lane.
Well, that's what Sean Maldonado did. And
good luck.
Holloman didn't have any trouble at all with that left lane. He didn't have trouble with either lane when you throw a 266. You're not really having a hard time. But the folks here at Hijinx, Stacy Blackston, Kelly Stevens, Corinne Bell, they know how to put on an event here. Players are extremely well treated. You're almost speechless when you don't see him strike, and especially when he doesn't leave a single pin. And I believe, if I see that right, he does have a 9-pin behind that 3. Sure looks like it. And it is on the board as an 8. There's a great look at it there. So, and it sounds like I'm being a little sarcastic. I'm not. There weren't many of these today. Now, there were some pretty nasty leaves, of course. It's always going to get them. Saw some Greek churches and a few things that you don't really want to see here. But for this group in particular, they didn't have to shoot a lot of spares, especially the last few games when they got going. It wasn't easy for everyone. If it was, we might have a different stepladder. But sometimes it's easy for this guy. And when you talk about the top people on the tour today, you don't waste a lot of time before you get his name out. For EJ, this would be regional title number 10. He has, of course, 16 national titles with 2 majors. And he has been a Lucy champion 3 times with 3 different partners. And either he forgot his spare ball, or wants to get another ball for later. That's a spare ball, so he just plain forgot it. Probably figured he didn't need it. That nuclear green glow-in-the-dark special. Turned 30 today, making him the second oldest and the second 30-year-old in the field. You got some youth. Of course, Spencer Robarge being the youngest, although Matt Russo's not exactly elderly, and neither is Holloman. You've got the couple of rookies of the year here, and Robarge, who will be in the next game, has been a star really since his junior days. So a 10-pin. There you see the stepladder still to come. Robarge and Russo. Well, this is even more unusual to say this, but E.J. Tackett, if he continues, will have his own tournament. Only E.J. will affect E.J. So you may have one of these unusual instances where the advantage will go to the right-hander. But a lot of lefties made it. I mentioned Faulkner. Bailey is left-handed. Lefties. This is a lefty-friendly home, and it's especially friendly to Russo. And we'll talk about his game and his success as we get a little closer to his match. And the scores are lined up properly for the moment. And that's a house thing. We can't do anything about that. So, kick save and a beauty on the 7-pin for Michael Holloman for his first strike in this second match. This is the PBA Jonesboro Super Southwest Open in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Home of the Arkansas State Red Wolves and a very good college bowling program, by the way. And this is their home house. Remember sitting in their locker room. They've got a nice locker room all set up for drilling and all sorts of things for their bowling team. Well, I don't know who the guy who keeps saying good ball is, but he's right. Either he's wishful thinking or he's seeing something halfway down the lane that. But no trouble for EJ at all. That rev rate absurd. EJ averaged 227.8 to round up in 21 games. Tackett 3 out of 4. And this is just violence right there. That's rated R for gore and violence on pins. And that's Matt Russo, who did decide to warm up after all. He really wasn't sure about how much he was going to throw before he takes the stage. Oh, that looked perfect. That is a shocking result. Just a complete wraparound on that 7. I don't know how you can do it any better as far as location. So Holloman 266 in the opening game to defeat Sean Maldonado, who takes home the 5th place prize. Now, next week, our cameras will be at one of the more celebrated regional stops on the PBA Tour. I'll tell you about that in a moment. There you go. Flush on the left lane for Holloman, and he needs it because Tackett looks smooth right now. We'll be on YouTube, the PBA YouTube channel, next week from Coldwater, Ohio. Yes, you will get to see people being cold-watered. The leaves in that building are legendary. Some funky things happen there, and looking forward to being a part of the fun. Man, Tackett just too strong right now. Three in a row. He had two of the loudest solid 8 pins, and they were back-to-back today, this morning. He actually had some struggles in the early part of the day where he was pretty frustrated, but settled things down. But the two stiff 8s were insane. That's through the nose, a touch, and a violent messenger. Destroying the 9-pin, pancaked it. Watch this. Forget it. So Tackett 5 strikes out of 6, building up a lead on Holloman, who's bowled well, but isn't on the same form he was in the first game. And again, it's E.J. Tackett has that right side all to himself. Holloman is called for a re-rack on 24. So should E.J. advance, it's the E.J. Tackett Invitational on the right side. Boy, that's a hook and a half right there. You could see that ball just zip line straight into the pocket. No ball changes, nothing untoward yet from either of these bowlers. Holloman sticking with what brought him here. He knew about a third of the way down, 2/3 of the way down, that was not going to be a good shot. See the reaction? Right through the nose. And the first open frame of the afternoon in our Stepladder finals here in Arkansas is going to be Michael Holloman's. And now he's in a position, even if he makes this, which obviously the odds aren't with him, but it's always possible at this level. And he's going for it, and he got it! Yes, sir! Damn the odds. He pretty much had to do this. I was about to say that he's going to need some help because Tackett is bowling so well. Well, he gave himself the biggest boost he possibly could there. Let's see if that has any effect on Tackett. Yeah, it does not. The torque that he gets out of that right arm is absolutely unbelievable. Again? Sure. This is not an easy game. Folks at home, most of you understand this. There are some people who make it look insanely easy. Again, and Holloman trying to make a stand here, but he has just run into a hurricane in E.J. Tackett. I mean, he could bowl a 237 here and be obliterated. .280 is possible for E.J. Tackett, and if there were an odds board here, a little sports book they opened up, a pop-up store, that might take $1 and put it on 280 for Tackett right now. No words. No words. Double messenger fun for E.J. Tackett. Now you see a 710. Now you don't. Holy smokes. That's not fair. It isn't fair. So E.J. Tackett will take on Spencer Robarge in our next match. And boy, that's an appropriately named bowling ball he's got right now. Because this is warfare on these pins from Tackett. Holy cow. And takes the spare ball out and takes a nice 279 home. But he's not going home just yet. Indiana's going to have to wait because he is in the next match against Robarge. For Michael Holloman, a fourth-place finish. Perhaps he will get that third regional title the next time he steps out. He certainly has the game for it. And a past PBA Rookie of the Year. Puts together a strong, strong outing here in Jonesboro. But what do you do? Well, you know what? He did this to Maldonado with a 266, and Maldonado a solid 226. I would bet you that a lot of guys, if you told them, okay, you're going to be in a stepladder and your score is 226, are you going to win or are you going to lose? A lot of guys would say, I'm going to win with a 226, and Maldonado was beaten with a 266. But E.J. Tackett, an obscene 279.
Spencer Robarge, what a nice hand from Michael Holloman. Fourth place finish and a check for $3,000.
So we'll just take a minute and a half, 2-minute break here. They're going at a pretty quick pace. Just to give you everybody a chance to catch up a little bit, and it'll be E.J. Tackett and Spencer Robarge. And just after a few warm-up shots from Spencer, we'll get right back to the action. Back to business. The PBA Jonesboro Super Southwest Open here on the PBA YouTube channel, where you can find a lot of PBA history, both recent and a while ago on the PBA channel. Taking a look at Spencer Robarge, and the first time I announced Spencer Robarge bowled, he was 12 and winning at junior gold. Trying to remember, I believe he was in the Illinois area, Holloman, and won his match. Obviously, different style. He was always two-handed. That's not changed, but considerably better, and he was pretty darn good at 12. Made a show on tour already. Does not have a regional title yet. But he did win the PBA Junior National Championship last year. He has the youth record for sanctioned 300 games at 41. Okay. And I hate to throw around the word prodigy but this is who I think Spencer Robarge, it would be fair to say, is a prodigy at this game. And so now we have 3 bowlers left. 2 two-handed lefties, and E.J. Tackett. And we've already had some traffic on that left side with Holloman, so it's going to be interesting to see how all of that affects on this 36-foot Mark Roth pattern, the 2 powerful left-handers. All right, Spencer took a second there. He'll go first. Looks like. That's his option as the top seed. I think more often than not, I've noticed that bowlers who have that higher seed want the other person to go first. They've identified a weakness. They've identified maybe a lane they want someone to finish on that might not suit that person. It's almost like the teams that defer in a football game for the kickoff. But he wants the ball. So Spencer Robarge, 2 games to capturing his first regional title out of Springfield, Missouri. And a wraparound 7 to get things started for Robarge. Spencer, in his 21 games here, averaged 236.2. Finishing well past Tackett, almost 9-pin per game better average. Still not in Russo territory. Blasting the 7-pin into orbit. But here's a man who just threw a 279, and the last ball he just kind of tossed down there with the spare ball. You know, you come to expect him to get those breaks. You saw that when I think that was the 4-pin that was kind of aggressively dancing around the 7, but did not get it to go down. think it's the first match we've had a spare start. You see Holloman leaving in the background. If Jeff, you want to play the Hulk music from the play that as he leaves. Jeff Goodger is here, obviously taking care of all the technical details that I'm incapable of. And look at that. I believe that's the 6-pin. It's just going to stand there like a doorman. Weird. Well, he was getting that carry in the first game that he won. And he'll appropriately punish the 10-pin for its errant ways. But this is a tournament with some youth in it. Matt Russo is young. I'll tell you another young bowler who cashed a check earlier today, not in the top 12, was Ryan Barnes, son of Linda and Chris, who made the top 30. Through the nose for Robarge and trouble with a 4.710. Well, we've had a 6.7 made by Holloman. Then you've got to wonder, the traffic has been heavier on that side. He'll be aggressive. Try to blast it off the back wall, so an open frame early for Robarge. If you're going to get it out of the way, do it now. Especially since Tackett hasn't struck yet in this game. This gives him a little bit of relief. Great adjustment. Just blasted those things into high heaven there. Nothing left. When you hear the expression 10 straight back, this is what we talk about. And EJ Messenger does the job. You could see that Messenger was coming through all the way that time. That rev rate, that explosive power that you see in today's game, guys like Kyle Troop, Belmo, Jesper Svensson, obviously EJ, and the guys who can just crank it up to incredible rev rates are able to get that kind of action. Yep. Shorter pattern, moving out a little bit more to the right. In between the 1 and 2, those arrows there. So he is redialed in. Again, if you're just joining us, Spencer Robarge may be on the right lane, but that is EJ Tackett's score below him. Mixer? Nope. He's got a sleeper there, and it stayed up. So Spencer kind of on a bit of a fishing expedition now. He's had trouble on that right lane twice. Had the split in the second, and now has, for a pro, a high percentage shot. And as expected, you know, there's that difference between them and us, the average bowler and the accomplished ones, the professionals. Shots like that is a good example. And the sleepers are hard. 310s are hard. 3/610s are hard. You know, for the average bowler, there's a higher chance of not converting that shot for a league bowler, unless you're a very good league bowler. But at this level, those shots aren't made a high percentage of the time. Well, seems to be friendly with the left lane. But it's the right lane that's held him down a little bit. And E.J. Tackett working a double. Look out. Thought that might go through the face, but it held perfectly and just demolished the back row. It's a point here where I thought this shot might go high. It didn't. And if you're Robarge, you're sitting there trying to figure out the right lane and wondering, is this guy going to start throwing 6, 7, 8 in a row on me here, and I'm not going to be able to dig out of that hole? That might be your answer. That is 4 straight for Tackett. That's the reaction you get when you open a soda that's been shaken. That kind of explosion. Boy, that right lane is just biting him right on the ankles. Second split. And again, when you've averaged, and by the way, he bowled this pair and bowled well. I think he said he got in the 240s. And the next bowler, Matt Russo, had his highest game of the event on this set. So Spencer's in deep, deep trouble here in an almost untenable position. And it's the right lane that's been his undoing. A 4-6-7 just there. And before that, he had a split in the second. And a sleeper, he left a 3-9 in the fourth, which he was able to convert. He's fine on the right lane. He had a ringing 7, and then strikes in the third and the fifth. The left lane, pardon me. I hate to tell you where he's going to have to finish, but to be frank with you, it may not matter. All right. That's 3 in a row on the left lane. But right now, E.J. Tackett could go to I-5-5-5 out here and throw a strike. Would you like 10 straight back? Would you like a mixer? Would you like a kick on a 10? Whatever it is, he has it right now. And he's opened up a commanding lead. Would you believe we could see back-to-back 279s out of E.J. Tackett? Because that's what we're looking at. He may take the foot off the accelerator. But There is the shot he's been waiting for on that right-hand lane. Looks like he might have thrown that one a little harder and a little bit more toward the gutter, and was able to get an absolute flush read. But the best he can do is, what, 210? And Tackett's just about there. Friendly left lane, so Spencer Robarge beginning to pick it up a little bit, but again, E.J. Tackett just won't let him off the canvas. Folks here are shocked that he didn't strike. The reaction from the people here at Hijinx in Jonesboro, like, what happened? So E.J. Tackett's going to move on to the championship against Matt Russo. And we won't have back-to-back 279s, but that's okay. So Spencer Robarge will take a third-place finish with him in the Jonesboro Super Southwest Open. We are at Hijinx Entertainment in Jonesboro, Arkansas. I'm Dave Lamont, delighted to be with you. Jeff Goodger is in production, and Natalie Tackett has also been, as always, the MVP of any crew she's on. Yep. Well, EJ down to a 246 here maybe. He'll just once again keep the traffic moving. It'll be a 244. He doesn't want to see what happened to him there at the end, but that's okay. It's harmless. So 276 and 244 for Tackett to earn a spot in the finals. And bowling fans are already very familiar, I think, with Spencer Robarge, and they're going to get, you better start getting used to him, would be my suggestion. A gifted young bowler, a hard worker. And I like the way he finished. He didn't just chuck this game in the trash can, even when he knew he was in trouble, and then he figured out pretty quickly that Tackett had him. But you know, he finished this like a pro. But there's another cliche in sports that will apply to this match as he finishes with the 209. It's not as close as the score indicated. Not the 244-209 is that close, but E.J. Tackett had this match pretty much wrapped up in 6th or 7th frame. So Spencer Robarge, he'll get that regional title another day. And that sets us up for what could be an explosive championship match as Matt Russo brings the gear over.
Your tournament leader is going to get some practice shots on the championship pair.
So it'll be Matt Russo and E.J. Tackett for this regional title. It would be Matt's second regional title. And, of course, E.J. would be regional title number 10. But Matt in this building is a force. He won the 2021 PBA Jonesboro Open. He has run away with the qualifying for the Stepladder. You ask, what do you mean, Dave? 244.6 average. At one point, he was averaging at 250. plus 937. Spencer Robarge, who was the number 2 seed going into the stepladder, was plus 761. That's how dominant Matt Russo was here. And he is here. And in talking to Matt about an hour before we took the air at 4 o'clock Central Time, I have to tell you that the guy is confident, and I don't blame him. Why wouldn't you be confident? And, you know, there's another cliche we drag out occasionally called horses for courses, and this horse is for this course. Now, you have a ridiculously gifted E.J. Tackett, a great bowler, Hall of Famer, he will be, and bowling well. So this is a challenge, and something else we'll throw at you. Matt Russo hasn't been challenged very much in the last 24 hours. Ever since yesterday, when he just jumped in front of everybody and stayed in front of everybody and stayed in front of everybody and built this lead. To the point, to be honest, one of the things that we do when we're getting ready for a show and you're watching qualifying, whether it's match play or here it's volume, just keep blasting pins, is you start to project who's going to make your show and who's not. And I can tell you that when I walked in this morning, after about watching 2 games, we all said, okay, well, Matt's going to make the show. In fact, I think Jeff built a graphic, and I'm not joking, with Matt in it, in the stepladder, in the first position. That graphic with Matt sitting there at number 1 has been there for hours. We knew he was going to be number 1. And we knew Spencer was going to be number 2. And then the rest of it, filled itself out. But so here's the thing for Matt. Can he get the spark back now? What is an eyeball-to-eyeball finale against a distinguished opponent? It's going to be fascinating to see. And again, EJ's having his own tournament on the right side with the elimination of Sean Maldonado. And it's been a lot of lefties. So we'll see what Matt does. But on the other hand, he comes in here thinking, although he wouldn't say it, but if I'm him, I'm thinking, I don't care who it is. This is my building. I've got what I need to do to win, and I'm going to bowl a big number. And what did he bowl on this pair? I asked him. He looked it up, went to his phone, looked it up, and said, oh, I did bowl on this pair. I had a 280. Oh, okay. So this is really going to be an interesting duel for this regional title. He should be about to his last or penultimate warm-ups. I think he should be ready to go. And we'll be ready to go. We will present the trophy. Not we, I will be out there to help with the trophy ceremony. So as quickly as I can leave the desk over here, which is directly behind the pair you're looking at, and dash out there. If he saw something he didn't like about the rack on the left lane. So what will his strategy be? Will he want to go ahead and take the first shot? I would think that every lane in here is his favorite lane. Did he see anything? I don't know how much, he was watching Tackett in addition to his own prep, physical prep. Did he see anything? Right now, EJ doesn't have a weak lane.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are down to our championship match. Your tournament leader, Matt Russo, versus the number 3 seed, E.J. Tackett. Matt is going to have E.J. start the match. Your arrows are up. You are ready for your championship round. Good luck and high scoring.
All right, it'll be E.J. on the left-hand lane. And he is sticking with that tank. The third straight game, no ball change, and honestly, I don't know why he would need to change one. Like I said, he doesn't have a weak lane right now. A little loft and an explosion. So our first full look at Matt Russo Trying to go back-to-back in this building, walking out with the big check. Well, kind of thought this could end up being a massively high-scoring match. There's potential for that here. Russo, the only one to knock down over 5,000 pins in this regional. 5,137. And that is a shocker. A 6-8. And you had the head pin take care of the 10, but the 6 pin was just left out. And we were joking earlier, Matt and I, going for it and just misses, and a hole in his resume early on about how few spares he actually shot today. In his final game, which was on the far right side, he had a lower scoring game, but by that point, we all knew what was going to happen. And he was joking around about how few spares he's actually had to shoot. And he got stuck with a leave that I would bet, although I haven't seen every shot he's thrown in 2 days, that he probably didn't see that leave until just now. And, one more? No. Okay. Tackett, who flirted with this 7-10 once and got a strike out of it, this got serious. And interesting now that he is lofting on that right lane. He is fortunate, and nobody has to tell him. Well, pardon the mild pun, but he dodged a tank there. That's back to form for EJ on that left-hand lane. He's 2 for 2 in this championship match. Now a big moment here for Matt Russo early on, a little bit of a crisis. In the third frame, coming off of an unexpected split. Not that you ever expect them, of course, but the way he has dominated the past day and a half, any kind of a leave is a surprise. Well, that's more like it. Kick save and a beauty on the 7. All right, so here's what I mean about how dominant he's been. First 8 games yesterday, he was on the B squad. He led, averaged 243. You know who was second? Spencer Robarge. So at the end of the first round of advancing, 13 games, it's Russo, and then averaging 249 with Robarge, second. Round 2, Matt Russo, averaging almost 249, 248.5, with a massive lead over Robarge. And then when we finish things up, of course, he's at 244.6 and with a massive lead. That's how dominant he's been in Jonesboro. And it doesn't matter at this point. Got him here. He has to finish it off. That's really got to go, and it does. Boy, he went deep. This is a critical double for Matt Russo. He knows it. So again, the names and the scores, that is Tackett score on the left. That's just the house system that we have a camera on, but it's worth a reminder. More loft from EJ and more power as he carries the 10-pin. And that was in fact, I think the right lane is where he had the 710 that was there for a second, and both were taken out by messengers. And just had a 710 scare in the second frame there on that right lane. Oof, he thought he had it. You ask yourself, how does this possibly miss? That's not a quitter 10. So Matt Russo catches a little bit of a break. Let's see if he can strike. He is 2 for 2 on this right-hand lane. Again, Matt, if he captures this, would get a second regional title. He's out of Manchester, Missouri, by the way, not super far from St. Louis. And he would be back-to-back in this building on PBA visits. Of course, this building is famous for one of the more dramatic and beloved wins on tour, probably the last 10 years or more. Tell you about that in a second. You might already remember it. Beautiful. That's the Matt Russo that owns this building. Yeah, Norm Duke, 2019, a winner here. And that's one they still remember in Jonesboro. Well, now it's Russo with 3 in a row. And he goes back to the left-hand lane where he got that shocking 6-8. And that's the difference in the match at the moment. But he may be able to strike his way right through it. Got to go. Well, he has made a massive adjustment and is going incredibly deep on that left lane. So EJ Tackett now getting his first big challenge. And so far in EJ's wins over Michael Holloman and Spencer Robarge, it was Tackett who pulled out and just stayed ahead. Now he's getting some serious mid-match resistance. And not getting a break on the 10-pin again. That time a quiet 10, however. Again, Tackett's score for the time being is on the left. All right, cleans it up. And we'll stay with the presentation of the trophy and the first place check before we sign off and get ready to ship our stuff to Ohio. Famous cold water, and yes, the omelet challenge will be back. You'll hear about that when we get to Ohio. And it'll be a Saturday-Sunday event, so we'll be on Sunday from Ohio in a fun event. And so has this one been a fun event. And something got to EJ, so he'll lather, rinse, repeat. I didn't hear anything, but EJ might have picked up something, a noise, or maybe he just had a moment where he didn't feel right. Big loft there, and didn't come out right at all. And suddenly, the early lead he had has evaporated, and this match is starting to lean toward Russo's way. Interesting, watching just his body language, I think he expected more out of that. It wasn't that obvious, I messed up, this is going to be a bad shot. So an open frame for EJ Tackett in the 7th. And Matt Russo now in a position to hurt him if he can double. The best EJ is going to be able to do now is a 224. Well, he's probably as surprised as anyone else that didn't strike. He was starting to walk that one out. A big fist pump on that spare. I don't know if you caught that. You don't often get a big fist pump on a 7-pin. But when you're getting down to the crucial moments of a championship match, and this didn't turn out to be the strike fest that we thought it might. He's gone very deep again on that left lane, and that strategy has paid off. That's the lane where he had the split, and he adjusted brilliantly. Since that split, he has struck in the 4th, the 6th, and the 8th on the left lane. So he's looking at a chance at, 245, and the best that EJ can do is 224. So a huge, really EJ has to take this completely off the sheet here. Oh my Lord, another one of those. Incredibly, he has not struck since the 4th frame. And this match is beginning to slip through his fingers a little bit, and he's not getting any help from the pins. He has steadfastly stayed with that ball. And I don't know if an equipment change, considering some of the luck he's had, or lack of luck he's had, lack of good luck he's had on some of these hits, I understand why he would stay with it. There you go. There's a kick on the 10. But that's not the happiest you'll see EJ Tackett after a strike. Looking now at a 214, and that he's going to need some help. The foundation frame here for Matt Russo. You see the trophy right off his hip pocket there. And he's getting closer to being able to grab that. Really, another strike here just about does it. They may have to rename this place Matt Russo's Hijinx. I'll have to talk to Corinne about that. She might even do it. Yeah, I tell you what, he has made such an adjustment there that adjustment's going to bring him a title. Matt Russo is your champion. It'll be a second regional title for Matt. Back-to-back in Jonesboro, and the confidence that he had at 3 o'clock Central Time was well-founded confidence. He felt good about his chances, and he had every reason to. And you know what? I expect that headpin to fall, too. So E.J. Tackett's birthday present will not be this regional championship, but I'm sure that he'll have a great birthday anyway. Tackett will take the runner-up position here. And Matt Russo, so he throws a 244, and he averaged about 249 for this the qualifying. E.J. Tackett, as always, puts on a great show, and it'll be a disappointing finish for him. But really, Matt Russo was just too good over 2 days, period. You know, E.J., I understand his frustration. I do. And I know he's going to be extraordinarily unhappy after all of this. But Matt Russo couldn't be touched over the last 2 days. The leader after every qualifying round, and your champion here is Matt Russo. Give me a moment to get down and get ready to introduce you to our new champion.
The second place finish for Mr. E.J. Tackett. Looks heavy.
Look at that. Turbo power.
Now here's what it's all about for our championship presentation. We're going to turn it over to the voice of our live stream, Mr. Dave Lamont.
Thank you. First off, what do you want first, Matt? You want the money or you want the trophy? Be honest. Take the money. All right. You got it. We have Stacy Blackston is not up here, but Stacy, we can't thank her enough. Kelly Stevens, of course, and Corinne Bell. Corinne is basically the boss of this joint. We know it. No, don't be modest. There you go. We have an ATM for that, by the way. I drove by it earlier. It's a giant ATM. It'll take that check. Take the trophy. It was hovering around you throughout all of this. We also want to take a moment before I talk to Matt about thanking our local sponsors, the Jonesboro A&P Commission, Hijinx Inc., Compass Rose Realtors, and NEA Trophy. And if you give me a moment here. Hey. All right, I talked on the broadcast that when I spoke to you a couple of hours ago, you were confident. You had a reason to be confident. What is it about this filming and you that seemed to work so well together?
The pins fall my way. I honestly don't know. Slower ball speed seems to be really good here, and don't throw that hard. So just the 7 pins like to fall when I'm out here. So just feels really good to win again. Unfortunately, it wasn't a national title, but I'll take a title every title that it is. So I'm just grateful to be here. Thank you to Jonesboro for everything they've done for all the players, not only myself, but for the PBA. But just feels amazing.
You made a big adjustment. You had that surprising 6-8 lead. And it looked to me like you made an adjustment on that left lane that turns out to make the difference. What was it?
Yeah, I just threw it better.
Did everybody get that down? All right.
Yeah, I had a feeling that this lane was going to hit a little bit more based on just what I've seen throughout the week. And that shot was decent, but I deserved that split and just made a better shot. And actually, the one in the 10th just helped get 7 out, and we crumbled the bucket. So I'm glad that I didn't get 5, wouldn't matter, and we're turning the tide again.
Well, obviously, you were the leader after everything, including when it mattered most. So congratulations on this. You certainly earned it. You won this one.
Yeah, it feels good. You know, anything can happen in a stepladder match, but to out-average the field and do all that work, you know, I'm glad I was able to grab this one. So now it's time to go home to the cats and the wife and just enjoy it.
Why didn't you mention the cats ahead of the wife?
Well, the wife won't be home until Tuesday.
Okay.
So it's just me and the cats. You know, but my support system, PBA, Buddy's Pro Shop, my parents, just everybody that's been involved in all this, I can't thank them enough, and it's just incredible.
Well, here's your champion, everybody, Matt Russo. Congratulations to Matt. Happy birthday, Mr. Tackett. And thanks for everybody for watching the PBA YouTube channel. We'll be in Coldwater, Ohio next week to see who gets cold water. But here's your champion, everybody, Matt Russo.